Happy Earth Day and welcome to the launch of my channel. Today I wanted to talk about something with you that I really care about and is in fact what I'm making my entire career about, which is sustainable fashion. I have 10 sustainable fashion tips to share with you today, and I hope that they will help you in your sustainable journey. The first tip is when you're shopping for new clothes, to imagine what you already have in your wardrobe and to imagine the thing that you're looking at and you're considering buying, and see if you can just mentally think of three garments that this item will go with. A lot of the garments that are left and forgotten at the back of people's wardrobes are there because they were bought on an impulse and they didn't actually match anything that was already there. It's far easier if you're starting out in a new style to create a kind of bridging gap between them, or maybe you're trying something new, that if you want maybe a new silhouette or something that you haven't tried before like that, to match it with something else, as in if it's a new silhouette you can go with a colour palette that you already have. If it's a new colour, make sure that there's maybe some basics that you have that will go well with those things. Please don't be afraid to experiment though, because it's through knowing our own personal style that we can make more informed fashion choices and make more sustainable purchases. Number 2 is shop your wardrobe. Maybe if you've got a vibe that you want to go for, or you have an event coming up, just check your wardrobe first to see that if there's any new combination of things or something that you really love that you might be able to wear instead. Do you really need to go out and buy a dress for just one occasion, such as a wedding? If you want to branch out into something new, maybe a new aesthetic or core, maybe you've been inspired by a particular designer, it's a good idea to have a look around your wardrobe and see what you've already got, because maybe it'll surprise you. Number 3 is to swap with friends, especially for items like needing a one-off dress for a wedding or an event. Yes, this can be restrictive with the amount of different clothing sizes there are. Your friends may not necessarily be in the same size as you. However, it's always good to check. I also recommend going to swap events, because that means that you can trade with somebody else for clothes that you don't need or want anymore, and you can get something new for it without generating any more waste or creating more demand for virgin products. Number 4, be realistic about how many clothes you actually need. Not want, need. How many clothes are there in your wardrobe in comparison to maybe the 1960s or your grandparents? The amount of clothes that we expect to own these days is much higher than it was in the past, and people used to get along fine. We exist in late-stage capitalism in a hyper-consumerist state, and sometimes that can skew our expectations of how many things we should own. Do you really need that new dress, a new pair of shoes, etc., etc.? Or do you have some old ones that would do just fine, or maybe you could repair them instead? You don't need to throw out a shirt just because it's lost a button, and you don't need to buy a brand new one every single time. Would you need a brand new pink blouse if you dyed the greying white one that you already have at home? Do you need a new mini skirt if you have one that you don't wear that you could shorten? And that leads me on to tip 5. Repair your clothes. Take them to a tailor or learn how to do it yourself. Upcycle, be creative. Honestly, these things aren't just for the realm of the professionals. Anyone can do it, and I recommend that anyone and everyone give repair and upcycling a go. It's really rewarding and enriching for you personally, as well as getting something new out of it and making sure that things that you own and care about don't go in the bin. If there's a hole, darn it. If the button comes off, put it back on. If you don't like the colour or it gets a stain, why don't you dye it a new colour? If the style is a bit dated, maybe see if you can update it. It's not a good idea to follow on with the micro trends that are coming out every few weeks, but there are overarching trends that you can keep up with by changing your clothes. Tip number 6 is also about looking after the clothes that you have and keeping them for as long as possible. Make sure that you have checked the label on your clothes and are following the care instructions properly. This can dramatically reduce the life of your clothing if you are not following these instructions properly. You can also substitute parts of your laundry routine for more sustainable options, such as cutting out fabric softener or changing your detergent. There are also options like guppy bags that prevent microplastics from your clothes shedding into the water supply. Tip number 7, DIY. You can learn to sew, knit, crochet, make lace, darn, dye. There's all kinds of things that you can do, even just with a pair of scissors. I know it can be intimidating at first, but I promise that you can make some wonderful things, and they'll be more suited to you and your taste than anything in a shop will ever be, because you'll get to design it yourself. Over time, it means that you also will get a better idea of what a quality item looks like, and help you understand your personal style and personality more in depth. Hobbies like embroidery and crochet can also be very beneficial for your mental health and be part of a wider mindfulness practice. Number 8, understand the intersections of the fashion industry and global justice movements. Fashion is political, and it pretty much always has been. We communicate our values and ideas and who we are through our clothes. It's a mode of visual communication and expression. Likewise, the history of textiles is extremely political. From slavery and imperialism as part of the history of cotton to the Dagenham car strikes, global textiles have an important part to play in the current systems that are being upheld. The vast majority of garment workers are non-white women, and we have a responsibility to understand that when we wear the clothes that they produce. 9, join a cause. You could join a cause like Fashion Revolution or a local repair cafe. Maybe, if you're already crafty, you could try setting up events at your local library. Maybe you could support your local community centre or offer free repair. You could sign petitions to improve the rights of international garment workers. Or maybe even do something unrelated to fashion, such as starting a local litter picking group or campaigning with organisations such as Extinction Rebellion. Either way, you have a voice, and everybody has something that would be useful to making the world a better place. And I highly encourage you to use that, whatever is in you. 10, talk to the people closest to you. Ask them about their buying habits. If they might, for instance, be in the habit of buying new clothes when they feel sad, which is a very unhealthy practice. Ask them if they know about the conditions of international garment workers, if they know about the Rana Plaza collapse in 2013. Ask them if they know what happens when they buy from places like Primark, what makes organic cotton different, and why cotton's important in the first place. Do they know about the history of cotton in India, for example? All of these things can be valuable teaching tools, and you can help spread interest in sustainable fashion and doing things a better way through talking to the people closest to you. Maybe if they're currently on strike, you can talk to them about the global struggle for workers' rights.